Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen in the gallery, and to those listening at home. Please be seated while Councillor McDonald delivers the blessing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As we near another Anzac Day, it is timely to reflect in prayer and remember the sacrifice, the forever young men and women of our Defence Forces who gave their lives in wartime, and also those who came home so that we, their fellow Australians, could live in freedom and safety, lest we ever forget. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Before we begin, I will acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands of the Wadjuk Noongar people and pay our respects to their elders, both past and present. It is now 6:59 and I declare the meeting open. Announcement of visitors. Welcome, former Mayor Mrs Owen Searle, she's here tonight with us. Thank you. And disclaimer, members of the public are cautioned against taking any action on council items, in which they may have an interest until such time as they've seen a copy of the minutes of the meeting or have been advised in writing by city staff. Record of attendance, we're all here except for Councillor Zhang, who has an approved leave of absence. Are there any disclosures of interest? No? No announcements this evening. Reports from delegates? Are there any reports from delegates? Councillor Dewhurst, thank you.
So just an update on rivers. So we're going to get some rubbish delivered to the site in June, and we're probably going to... Oh, we're not? Okay, I've just been told it's October. Okay, so the other night I was told June, but now it's October. Maybe I should listen heavier at the meeting.
Yeah. Councillor Director Glover. Sorry.
My apologies, Madam Mayor. There will be waste delivered, but it won't be ours. Ours won't be delivered until around about September, October.
But there's going to be a test burn with someone else's rubbish then?
Yes, and that's on the basis of the more simpler delivery for the closer ones.
As you were.
Okay, so now I'm getting a bit confused. So
someone's rubbish is going there?
Someone's rubbish is going to be thrown there in June, and then they're going to give it a light up in about July and give it a test and see if it's going well. And then all the other rubbish will be going there to burn that. So yeah, very exciting time. $2 billion at the stage, and yeah, and that's what I got told on the other night. So are we saying no? Maybe I went to the wrong meeting.
That cost certainly blew out, Councillor.
Maybe state meeting, but anyway, that's what I've been told, and that's what I'm reporting on. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Good. Thank you.
This won't be as entertaining as Councillor Dewhurst's comments. I'm sure it'll be hard to top. Actually, I just want to do two things. First of all, last Friday, the city hosted a seniors community dinner, and I know you'll probably speak about that, but the feedback I received was excellent, and our staff are to be congratulated, in my opinion. But I hope my fellow councillors enjoyed the event as much as I did. And I always ask the point, when you want community feedback, these people will tell you straight, and that's one of the best things about it. But the other thing I want to mention, very simply, was the fact of a few weeks back, I actually represented yourself at the Gosnells Golf Club at the opening of their season several weeks ago. But just found out the other day that Gosnells Golf Club has just hosted the 2024 Australian Junior Amateur Golf Championship, and it finished on the 12th of April. I'm thinking, how good is that for our city that it hosted the Australian Amateurs Junior Championship? That's just brilliant.
Thank you, Councillor Good. Any further reports from delegates? No? Moving on. Question time. Members of the public for question time. First, we have Mrs. Tracy O'Neill. If you could come forward. Mrs. O'Neill, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to clarify a few things from the Ordinary Council meeting on the 9th of April regarding comments around the development application for commercial parking in Orange Grove. Madam Mayor, you said, I'm just slightly paraphrasing in case I misquote you, if people don't agree with the policy, that's what they should be advocating to change, in reference to past non-compliances not being used to make decisions on current development approvals. In order to effect a change to that policy, what steps must be taken?
So that actual policy, coincidentally, is up for review. So what will happen is the councillors will review it, and then our proposed changes will go out for public consultation. So keep your eye out for that policy when it comes out for consultation.
Wonderful, thanks so
Thank
much. And just secondly, how long on average does it take the compliance department from initial complaints through to court action if required for repeated non-compliance?
The director to answer, the acting CEO, sorry, pardon me, the acting CEO to respond to that, as it's a bit of a piece of string kind of answer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It can be a bit of a piece of string because it depends on the extent of the compliance and how easy it is for staff to be able to gather the evidence to be able to take a matter to court. And obviously, our preference isn't to deal with matters through the courts. Our preference is to get people to comply, so we'll try and exhaust those avenues first. Court is really a last resort where we've given people every opportunity to comply with their approvals or obtain the approvals they need. But it really does depend on the nature of the non-compliance as to how long it's going to take to get to court. Some are easy to prove. If someone's built a building without a building permit, that's easy to prove. If someone is breaching a development approval, and we've spoken about some, about commercial vehicles leaving and arriving at a property outside of approved times, we've got to establish a consistent pattern of that happening. It can't just be a sort of, well, they turned up one time after the approved hours, therefore it's a breach. So it really is. It's a matter of how complex it is for us to be able to prove that there's an offence has occurred.
Just for reference sake, what's the longest one? It's like 5 years, 6 years, 1 year?
Can you have a guess at that one?
I would be guessing, but it would certainly be over a year for us to be able to get sufficient evidence to be able to take something to court.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Mr Leon Walker from Stafford Road in Kenwick, and Mr Walker, you would know that the standing orders allows for 2 questions, but at this time we do have a bit of time up our sleeves, so I'll allow you to ask all of your questions this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. How is it that the format of the agenda for council meetings has been changed?
Thank you, Director. Acting CEO, sorry. Thank you. How has the format
Thank you, Madam
changed?
Mayor. The format itself hasn't changed, so the order of business and everything remains the same. You have got a new look for the agenda because we have just shifted to a different minutes and agenda software. So it does produce the agendas in a slightly different look, but format remains the same.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The remainder of my questions relate to the multicultural event at Sutherland's Park last weekend. What was the advertised start time of the multicultural event at Sutherland's Park on Saturday last?
And as your questions do all relate to this particular event, I will be handing them all over to the Director Blake for response. So Director Blake for Community Engagement, could you respond to that one, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The event, which was delivered by the Perth Indonesian community, was advertised for a 2 p.m. start and an 8 p.m. finish.
Thank you. What time did the event actually start?
Well, I hope it was 2 p.m, Mr Walker, but I'm not absolutely sure because I didn't attend the event.
Thank you. Did the organisers of the event receive funding from the city?
Yes, they did. They received $20,000 through the city's new festivals and events grant.
So my next question is, in dollars, how much funding did the organisers receive from the city? It was $20,000.
$20,000.
Thank you. In the application for funding from the city, were organisers required to provide a run sheet and/or a detailed program for the event, including times and/or a timeline for the event?
The application for the grant certainly requires applicants to provide a fairly detailed program, but it wouldn't go to providing times for particular aspects of the event.
Thank you. In their application for funding for the event, were organisers required to provide details, including prices of the food to be offered for sale to members of the community?
The organisers were certainly required to provide details of items that they were requesting funding from the city for, and to also provide quotes. But no, they weren't required to provide us with what food truck vendors would be charging for food.
Thank you. Is the council satisfied that the prices for food at the city-sponsored event gave value for money to residents, ratepayers and electors of the city?
I will probably answer that as you're referring to the council. I did go to the event, but I didn't look at how much all the food was. I did buy an ice cream and it was about $4, which I thought was a little bit much. But as we know, a lot of the food trucks are charging a lot more than what we would hope, but we don't really have any control over that. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
There are no public statements this evening. We'll move on to the confirmation of the minutes. Can I get a mover for that, please? Sorry? Sorry, I said there's no public statements this evening. We'll move on. There is one, so then we can read that. No. Thank you, Councillor Betts. This is why you were provided with it, so it wasn't being read out. Thank you. Confirmation of the minutes. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Dewhurst to move that, and seconder, Councillor Adams to second that. Are there any questions on the minutes, councillors? No? If you could please cast your vote. Thank you. One more. Thank you. That has been carried. Moving on to the receiving of petitions and presentations. Are there any? No? Thank you. Any applications for leave of absence? Yes, there is an application of leave of absence. Myself, actually. I'm proposing a leave of absence, which please excuse me, I have not filled in a form, and it's for the 8th of May to the 25th of May, which includes one council meeting on the 14th of May. Can I get a mover for that, please? Councillor Williamson, happy to move that, and Councillor Islam to second that. And if you could please cast your vote on my leave of absence, thank you. Do I get to vote on this? Yep. I'll vote on this. I might have to leave. Somebody hasn't voted.
Apologies, just need to go again and just reset it.
Thank you, councillors, much appreciated. There are no questions of which due notice has been given, and we will now move on to the report of committee meetings. So item number 13.2.1, which is the development application for commercial vehicle parking at 10, which is lot 457 Gidgee Cove in Kenwick. Can I get a mover for that, please? Councillor Betts to move that and Councillor Baines to second that. Councillor Betts, did you want to speak to this item?
Madam Mayor, happy to speak to this. I think whenever possible, it's for a person to be able to drive the vehicle they use for work to their home and back. That makes a lot of sense. And that given the type of vehicle, it's not a huge vehicle. And in fact, there's actually bigger vehicles which could be parked, like this vehicle is about 7 metres long, a Mercedes Sprinter or a Volkswagen Crafter van, which is only 20 centimetres, about this much shorter, and is actually much higher than this truck. You could actually park there without requiring any permission from anyone. So I think if we can accommodate that for the person, it certainly makes sense, and so I'm happy to support it, and I think there may be an amendment being moved by someone at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Baines, did you want to speak to this? Is there any more debate or further debate on this? Councillor Dewhurst, thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I've got an amendment to it. The amendment is that the condition 4 of the staff recommendation be amended to read: the vehicle shall only operate on the premises between the hours of 5:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays and public holidays. And that's to allow the applicant for travel to and from the place of work.
We get a seconder, Councillor Williamson, to second that. Would you like to speak further, Councillor?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'll just, so a couple of the comments we had in the consultation period is that the vehicle made noise that was too much. But having a look at the variations, and I'm using my phone to look at that, I'm not texting anybody or FaceTiming or anything like that. The actual configuration of the vehicles, it's a 4-cylinder inline 4-valve engine inside it. It is turbocharged, but you wouldn't be hearing that unless they do on revs. It's only got a 3-litre displacement in the motor. So what that's saying is that my Land Cruiser has a lot larger motor in that, would make a lot more noise than that. And so I can't see any noise being an issue. So I'd ask councillors to support the amendment and also the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Williamson, did you want to speak to that? Any other councillors want to speak to the amendment? Deputy Mayor Hawke, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. We have different parts of our city and different zones for our city for different reasons. We have industrial areas, commercial areas, residential areas, all those kinds of things. And it's dangerous territory when we start to blend them together, especially if people have bought in a residential area. They deserve to live in a residential area with residential amenity. And this does flirt with the line of a semi-commercial area. And when we look at exactly the objections that have occurred here, it's not just the neighbour complaining. We've got 5 objections in the consultation area. So this is not a decision to be made lightly. I am in support of Councillor Dewhurst's changes, and the rationale for that is that there's protections already in place in the state's regulations, the noise regulations, environmental protection noise regulations, that allows us to prosecute if we think something's going amiss here. I think why I'm comfortable with the 5 objections and making this change is because there's a quacker, a beeper, a whacker, whatever it's called, that makes that annoying noise when a truck reverses. And we have received notification today that that has been disabled or can be disabled. So if I was objecting and I was a neighbour and it annoyed me every day, and the council wrote to me, and I'm not saying a next door neighbour, it could be someone down the street, and annoyed me every day, and the council wrote and said, hey, should we permit this from now on? I'd probably say no because it annoys me. But I don't think it would be the 3-litre diesel engine that's annoying me. It would be the quacker. So the fact that that has been removed gives me comfort. And it also gives me comfort that we have noise regulations in place. So if it does start to quack again, that there's things that can be done to manage that. And no approval that we give can ever overcome those noise regulations. So comfortable with what Councillor Dewhurst has done here today for those reasons, but it's not a decision I make lightly, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Is there any further debate on the amendment? Councillors, if you'd like to cast your vote on the amendment, thank you. Thank you, councillors. That has been carried. Now put the amendment back with the original item. Is there any further debate or questions on the original item? No. Councillors, if you'd like to cast your vote on the original item together with the amendment, thank you. Thank you, councillors. That has been carried. Moving on to item 13.3.1, the proposed holding of the lease of the netball pavilion located on Reserve 47329 Langford Avenue, Langford, to the Southern Districts Netball Association. Can I get a mover? Councillor Williamson to move this. Councillor Dalton to second this. Councillor Williamson, would you like to speak to this? Councillor Dalton? Any other debate or questions on this item, councillors? No? If you could please cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Item number 13.4.1, the History and Heritage Advisory Group meeting on the 4th of April 2024. Can I get a mover for this? Councillor McDonald to move this and Councillor Deputy Mayor Hort to second this. Councillor McDonald, would you like to speak to the item? Deputy Mayor Hort? Any further questions or debate on this item? Councillors, if you could please cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Item 13.5.1, the Financial Activity Statement for March 2024. Can I get a mover? Deputy Mayor Hort to move that, and seconder, Councillor Lloyd to second this. Deputy Mayor Hort, Councillor Lloyd, any further questions or debate on this item? Councillors, if you could please cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Item 13.5.2, the payment of accounts for March 2024. Can I get a mover? Councillor Dewhurst to move this, And Deputy Mayor Hort to second this. Any questions or debate on this item, councillors? If you'd like to cast your vote, thank you. Thank you, that has been carried. Item 13.5.3, the panel for 01 2024 survey services. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Dewhurst to move this, Councillor Baines to second this, thank you. Any questions? Councillor Dewhurst, Councillor Baines, any further? No, please cast your vote, thank you. Feeling quite robotic up here. Feeling quite robotic. Thank you, that has been carried. Item 13.5.4, the tender for 02 2024 supply, installation and maintenance of bore pumps. Can I get a mover, please? Deputy Mayor Hort to move this. Councillor Dewhurst to second this. Any questions or debate on this item, councillors? No? If you could please cast your vote, thank you. Cast your vote, thank you. Thank you, that has been carried. There are no motions of which previous notice has been given. There is no urgent business, but there is confidential items. So can I get a mover to close the meeting? Deputy Mayor Hort to move to close. Councillor Rimston to second that. Councillors, would you please cast. Thank you, councillors. That has been carried. I declare the meeting closed at 7:20. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming this evening. You are welcome to wait outside until the council reopens, or if not,